Story translation. In an old apartment located on the outskirts of a small town lived a young man named Sergei. The house had long been considered strange, and at night, mysterious sounds were heard within the walls, whispers and muffled footsteps. But the most peculiar thing was that all the residents complained about the same phenomenon. At night, strange, frightening noises emanated from the toilet, as if someone was sobbing or whispering. No one took it seriously, attributing it to the house's old age. But Sergei, being the new tenant, couldn't get used to it, as the sounds grew louder and more terrifying with each passing day. One night, just as Sergei was about to go to bed, he heard something strange. In the stillness of the night, with only the wind howling outside, a loud splash came from the toilet. At first, Sergei thought it was a broken flush, but when he approached the door, a chilling fear gripped him. A cold draft was coming from behind the door, and the sounds intensified, as if someone was splashing in the water, trying to get out of the toilet. With trembling hands, Sergei opened the door and froze in place. A hand, white, translucent like it was made of smoke, was emerging from the toilet. A moment later, a head appeared. A face, completely devoid of features, but with a terrifying grin. Before him stood a ghost, slowly crawling out of the toilet as if the water was a portal between worlds. Sergei wanted to scream, but his voice caught in his throat. His legs felt like they were made of lead, and his heart pounded so fast it felt like it might stop. The ghost, having fully emerged, hovered above the floor, silently floating in the air. Its eyeless gaze locked on Sergei as it slowly drifted toward him, leaving wet marks on the floor. Every night, the ghost returned. It crawled out of the toilet, terrifying Sergei to the point of near death. No one believed him, and when he tried to tell others about his nightmares, they just laughed. But each night, the ghost grew bolder. It started whispering, standing by his bed, and its icy hands would sometimes touch Sergei. When this happened, he felt as if life was draining from his body, and fear gripped him so tightly that he couldn't even move. One day, exhausted from the constant terror, Sergei decided to investigate. He delved into old city archives and found references to the house where he lived. It turned out that an old fortune teller once lived in this building. She practiced dark magic and had opened a portal to another world in her home to summon spirits. But one day, she went too far, and one of the spirits escaped. Since then, people had started disappearing, and the toilet became a portal to the other world. After this discovery, Sergei realized that the ghost was using the old portal to enter our world. Every night, it emerged from the dark depths of the other realm, seeking to instill such fear in people that they died from terror. But Sergei had no idea how to close the portal. The next night, Sergei tried to prepare. He locked the bathroom door, placed a bucket of water, and lit candles to ward off the spirit. But when midnight struck, the door began to creak and tremble on its own. Sergei heard the ominous splash of water from the toilet once again. With the sound of a breaking lock, the door burst open and the ghost appeared before him again. This time, the ghost was even more terrifying. Its face twisted into a wide, insane grin, and its long arms reached for Sergei. But this time, he couldn't even scream. The ghost slowly approached, its cold, dead whispers seeping into his mind, freezing the blood in his veins. "Your fear feeds me," it whispered. Sergei tried to run, but his body no longer obeyed him. The ghost grabbed him by the shoulders, and in that moment, the world around him began to fade. Cold filled the entire room, and shadows danced before Sergei's eyes. The last thing he felt was an icy hand squeezing his heart. His life ended in an instant. His life. Since then, no one saw Sergei. His friends and neighbors tried to find him, but he had disappeared without a trace. People said he simply ran away, unable to cope with life's burdens. But those who accidentally entered his apartment at night could still hear strange sounds coming from the toilet, splashing water and a faint whisper, as if someone long dead was still trying to crawl out through the old toilet.